Who is Tony Blair? He is most well known for serving as the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom between 1997 and 2007 and leader of the Labour Party between 1994 and 2007. He was born in Edinburgh, the capital of Scotland, to parents Leo and Hazel Blair. His father Leo, upon leaving school, worked as a copy boy on the Communist Party newspaper, the Daily Worker, and was secretary of the Young Scottish Communist League from 1938 to 1941. He studied law at the University of Edinburgh, becoming a barrister and later a university lecturer. Tony Blair also studied law at the St. John's College in Oxford. Blair stated he was briefly a Trotskyist during this time, after reading a biography on Leon Trotsky. After graduating, he joined the Labour Party in 1975 and during the 80s was involved in Labour politics. In a letter he wrote to the Labour leader Michael Foot in 1982, he made it clear he had come to socialism through Marxism and considered himself on the Labour left and thought that the Labour right was bankrupt. He became a Member of Parliament for Sedgefield in 1983, and on his maiden speech he said that I am a socialist, not through reading a textbook that has caught my intellectual fancy, nor through unthinking tradition, but because I believe that, at its best, socialism corresponds most closely to an existence that is both rational and moral. It stands for cooperation, not confrontation, for fellowship, not fear. It stands for equality. Blair's political ascent was rapid. He received his first front bench appointment in 1984 as Assistant Treasury Spokesman. In 1987, he stood for election to the Shadow Cabinet, receiving 71 votes. In 1992, Blair became Shadow Home Secretary under Labour Party leader John Smith. Blair argued that long-term trends needed to be reversed. The Labour Party was focusing on a shrinking demographic of working-class people, trade unions, and on residents of subsidised council housing. The rapidly growing middle class was ignored, especially the more ambitious working-class families. The steps to what would become New Labour were procedural but essential. John Smith secured an end to the trade union bloc vote for Westminster candidate selection at the 1993 conference. However, Blair and the modernisers wanted Smith to go further and called for radical adjustment of party goals by repealing Clause 4 of the Labour Party's constitution, the historic commitment to nationalisation of industry. Removal of this meant increased outsourcing and reduction of local industry and manufacturing. This would be achieved in 1995. John Smith died of a heart attack in 1994. Blair became leader of the opposition in the following election. Blair announced in 1994 that he intended to replace Clause 4 of the party's constitution with a new statement of aims and values. This involved the party's deletion of the statement, the common ownership of the means of production and exchange. At a special conference in 1995 in the month of April, the clause was replaced by a statement that the party is democratic socialist and that the party was a new Labour. John Major's Conservative Party was defeated at the 1997 general elections, and Tony Blair became Prime Minister, ending 18 years of Conservative Party rule. He was the longest-serving Prime Minister of the Labour Party, lasting 10 years until 2007. His military activity included assisting the Northern Ireland peace process, ordering British troops to combat in the foreign lands of Iraq in both 1998 and 2003, Kosovo in 1999, Sierra Leone in 2000 and Afghanistan in 2001. Economic activity included raising taxes, introducing a national minimum wage, some new employment rights. He made constitutional changes, promoted new rights for same-gender couples in the Civil Partnership Act of 2004, and signed treaties integrating Britain more closely with the European Union. He introduced student tuition fees, and sought to reduce certain categories of welfare payments. He created the Office of Rail Regulation, limiting fare rises to inflation plus 1%. He also increased spending on the NHS, National Health Service, and doubled spending in real terms to over £100 billion in England alone, in a pledge to match European Union levels. Immigration policies included abolishing the primary purpose rule in June 1997 and allowing non-European immigration to rise significantly during the period from 1997. It made it easier for UK residents to bring foreign spouses into the country. The former government advisor Andrew Neither stated that this action was deliberate to open up the UK to mass migration. The reasoning, though, was that there was a skill shortage and that the UK needed migrant workers. Blair promoted multiculturalism and welcomed immigrants to the UK from other European Union countries after 2004. Blair was also involved in climate change activism. Upon a visit to the USA in 1997, he made a comment about great industrialized nations that failed to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Again in 2003, before US Congress, he said that climate change can't be ignored. In the year 2001, he put forth €100 million toward green policies. This is all in line with the Clause 4 that he initially wanted to change in the Labour Constitution. Instead of nationalising industry, the goal was to phase it out. In relation to foreign policy, he formed strong ties with the US and the EU. In 2001, Britain joined the US in the War on Terror. Blair showed a deep feeling for Israel, born in part from his faith, and has been a long-time member of the pro-Israel British lobby group Labour Friends of Israel. In 1994, he made close ties with Michael Levi, a leader of the Jewish Leadership Council, based in Britain. Levi ran the Labour Leaders Office Fund to finance Blair's campaign before the 1997 election and raised £12 million towards Labour's landslide victory. Levi was rewarded with a peerage, and in 2002, Blair appointed Lord Levi as his personal envoy to the Middle East. Levi praised Blair for his solid and committed support of the State of Israel. Tam Dalyell, while father of the House of Commons, suggested in 2003 that Blair's foreign policy decisions were unduly influenced by a cabal of Jewish advisors, including Levi, Peter Mandelson and Jack Straw. Blair was reported to have been supported politically by Rupert Murdoch, the founder of the News Corporation organisation. In 2011, Blair became godfather to one of Rupert Murdoch's children with Wendy Deng. Since 2016, he has been chairman of the Tony Blair Institute for Global Climate Change. Blair is married to Cherie Booth and have 4 children.